Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we continue on with the Princess Diaries. So if you haven't seen the rest of the videos, please check them out from the beginning. Otherwise, this video will not make any sense. So on to book 6, Princess in Training. So a couple of things are going on. This is the beginning of her sophomore year in high school. So let's see. Lily gets her to run for student class president with the intention of Mia abdicating and turning everything over to Lily. She's going against Lena Weinberger because for some reason sophomores can run for senior student class president. Previous book, again, why on earth freshmen are messing around with the prom, I don't know. The same with this. In my experience, again, limited public high schools in the American West, normally junior and seniors run for student class president. And in this book, their friends end up becoming their staff. They choose their vice president and everything. Again, that's not the way it was in my high school. I'm not sure how it is in other schools, but normally the treasurer and the secretary and the vice president are all elected by the student body, half of which usually don't care. Which seems to be the case in this book series. So they have to somehow Lily and her grandmother arrange for Lena and Mia to have a debate. Again, Lily's intention is for Mia to step down and allow Lily to be president because Lily is of the belief that she is not popular enough. People do not like her for various reasons. She's kind of harsh and mean to people. She admits this. She's harsh and mean to people. But she wants to be in charge and she doesn't think people will vote for them, but everybody likes Mia and she's a princess and she's sweet, and again, she can be very popular with people. So it takes a while for Mia to figure and weasel this out of Lily, and why on earth she's enlisting Mia's grandmare and getting her to prepare to do public speaking, which Mia really does not want to do. The other thing that's going on here is Lena Weinberger, who's, I don't know whether she's still dating her former boyfriend, who's now in college, but makes Mia start thinking that Michael wants her to have sex. So that's the other thing that's obsessing through Mia's mind. And that's more important than being student class president is, does Michael want to have sex? She's not ready for having sex because, again, she's a 15-year-old girl. Not to mention her father would probably strangle Michael because, she's a princess, an heir to the throne. So who she loses her virginity to was probably kind of important. But again, that is the other thing she's obsessing over throughout this book is student class president and back and forth whether or not Michael wants to have sex with her. And one of her friends says, you need to have a conversation with him. You need to talk to him about this. And she does not want to do this. With an adult, yeah, grow up, talk to your spouse. With the obsessing of a 15-year-old girl, yeah, you get she's very immature because she's a teenager. She's a sophomore in high school. He's in college. She's also trying to compete with his friends. So now she's afraid of college girls and what Michael's doing. It turns out his roommate's a little weird and is surprised that Michael is dating Mia because Mia is pretty. And he is convinced that girls don't go out with nerds. He's a Korean dude. And Mia is a pretty girl, and he's like, for a while, he has no idea. It's like, what? How can Michael, who's very, very nerdy, be dating a actual pretty looking girl? Despite the fact, again, she's 15, and he's known her since they were like little, because she's been friends with Lily since like the second or third grade. They've known each other a very, very long time. So that's the other thing that's going on in this book. So it's funny, it's light. Her grandmother is, of course, driving her crazy. Her parents, her mother and stepfather, in order to prevent her mother's parents from coming out, go and spend the weekend in Indiana. Because the last thing Mia wants, her mother Mia's mother's want is her parents showing up in New York. Mind you, the last time they showed up in New York, their grandson decided to become an underwear model, and vamos. Yeah, they weren't particularly happy about that. That was earlier books. But I think that's mostly what's going on in this. It's a lot of her whining about giving speeches and wanting to have sex with, or not wanting to have sex with Michael. She does eventually have a talk with Michael. He's like, eventually I want to have sex with you. Eventually, when you're ready. But again, he's willing to wait. She does also, however, give a really rousing speech when she's up against Lena and pretty much gets the vote, and then has to explain to Layla that she's not going to give up power, that she's not going to step down because she kind of feels like she owes it to people. So again, these books have a tendency particularly to take place in short periods of time. Most of this happens in, I believe, the first week. Yeah, roughly about the first month of school, because the last diary entry is, if I can find the last diary entry is September 14th. So, yes, it's September 14th. So, that's her last diary entry. And the first one, she starts off, September 7th. So, these books, this pretty much covers a month. There are books that literally cover a week. I think Princess on the Brink, which is the third to last book, literally takes place over 1 week. So sometimes these books have a tendency to have a short period of time, and then she does some jumps sometimes. So with Princess on the Brink, she does, she doesn't do a jump. She does a jump after with Princess Mia, and then to Forever Princess, which is the last teen book in the series. She literally goes from the beginning of Mia's junior year in high school to the end of her senior year in one leap. So we will get there. So I will admit, with that book, and I will say it when I do that review, it feels like she's starting to get bored. The author feels like she's losing touch with the characters. So she does that massive jump to wrap it up. And then when she starts the adult series, which as far as I know only has one book right now, which is The Royal Wedding, she literally does one book comes out in 2009. It's not public. The next book, the adult book, doesn't come out until 2015, and it's 6 years later. So we will get there. I haven't even read that book yet. So that's it for this review. Again, back to teenage nonsense. She's running for class president because her friend wants to be in charge. Grandma's making her do all sorts of things, and she's obsessing over whether or not to talk to her college-age boyfriend about having sex, which, yes, again, she does. So that is it for this review. These are fun. They're still fluff. They're just massive, massive fluff, and they're funny fluff. They're a little dated. We admit that. I did finally figure out these books start in 2003. So the Princess Diaries book starts in 2003, even though they're originally published in 2000. So yes, I had to go look that up because as a child living around this time, the one thing that has never been mentioned so far in this book series is 9/11. It's not brought up at all. So it's like, okay, and she's in New York, so it's never brought up so far. So this book series completely avoids that topic. So that is, again, it for this review. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel and like and subscribe. The Princess Diaries, and I say this in a couple of videos, they're fun, they're fluff. I'm covering them in part because I enjoy them, because I was looking for something fun and entertaining, particularly after reading the last long series that I did, which was The Last Apprentice by Joseph Delaney, which is very, very, very dark. So if you like the dark and the horror, please be sure to check out that book series. I cover all, I think, 13 books in that series, along with a bunch of other stuff. I cover children's books. I cover some teen stuff. A lot of it's, if it's more adult content, it has educational value. I've covered The Color Purple. I covered Donald Wood's Biko, both of which are very, very tough topics. But again, they're educational. So along with various film reviews, not recent stuff, I have a small child. I haven't been to a theater in years. Seriously. But check out the rest of the channel. Like and subscribe. Thank you.